What if you wanted like a bunch of fish? As a VFX artist, you could do anything you want. Fish. Hello, and welcome to the Super Art Power Hour. My name is Jonathan Shishido, and I'm a visual effects artist on Teamfight Tactics. Today I'm going to show you my creative process whenever I create a celebration. There's a million different ways to create an effect. Other VFX artists might handle it one way, but today I'm going to show you my own personal process on how I tackle it using shape language, color, and timing. Usually I have 3 days to do something like this, but today I only have about 3 hours. So it'll be a bit of a challenge, but it's something I know I can do. Let's go!
All right, we're good.
Once again, we're gonna be pulling a creative prompt out of the trusty Timo hat. A happy storm. I can do that, yeah, that's totally doable. So a celebration is just a happy moment that we want the players to know that you've achieved the goal of this trait's prerequisites to get their ability buffs. So right here, I have this cloud popping up. That means you filled the prerequisites for the Invoker trait. In set 11, we have the Invoker trait, so when I have 2 on the board at once, this celebration is gonna proc. Anytime we get a prompt like this, we usually are free to interpret it how we want. And so I take it more as a suggestion. If I receive concept art from a concept artist, I always tell them this is more like a suggestion. I'm going to probably take this in a different direction. So don't get mad at me if it's not exactly how you planned it. Because, you know, there could be tech limitations, there could be a texture size for memory budget, there could be time constraints. Just like today, I only have 3 hours, so I'm going to do my best to interpret it how I can. A happy storm. So I'm thinking first, in order to get a storm, I'm going to need some clouds. And so because of those time constraints, I'm going to pull from existing assets. What's cool about TFT is I'm able to pull from League of Legends VFX, and I'm also able to pull from previous effects that I've made or like my other colleagues have made, and we can smush them into one. It just saves a lot of time. So for now, I'm probably going to pull from Aurelian Soul. He's got some really good clouds that I can pull from. Here's some clouds from his recall. And so I'm going to adjust these, and I'm going to have them try and get into a volumetric shape of probably something bigger than 3 hexes on our field. If you look over here, you'll see the hex size. We try and keep our celebrations within 1 of these hexes to keep the noise level down and to make sure that it's not too loud and too bright for the players. They still need to have gameplay clarity the entire time, and if I just have 7 different gigantic effects going off at once, the player's not going to know what's going on, and it could be very distracting, and it could cost them a round by trying to do item management and stuff. So we try and keep it as clear as possible for the player, or else it could be super crazy. But because nobody's here to tell me no, and I'm free to kind of do what I want, I'm going to try and extend this to maybe 3 times the size. And so I got to make a volumetric thing above our characters to create a convincing like storm cloud. And so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try spawning. I'm going to spawn like a lot. I'm spawning like 35 right now. Let's see what 200 looks like. So the reason I'm not showing you guys the engine I'm working in is because it's Riot's proprietary engine and it's not publicly available, but the knowledge from learning Unity prior to this reflects into here, and that knowledge also reflects into Unreal Engine, and it just boils down to the basics of what I mentioned earlier of shape language, color, and timing. If you got that, you'll be set on the rest of them because, you know, we use physics, we use different rendering styles. We can rotate things in certain ways. We can push things from A to B. We have all the tools that the other engines have, but once again, because it's Riot's because it's Riot's engine, I'm trying to describe to you the best way I can. And I just want to re-emphasize that this is not something that would be in TFT. This is very hypothetical. And this is why I'm going above my usual amount of effects that I do. So let me test this in game, see if it works. Cool, there's a cloud, but it's way too high. The importance of testing your actual viewport in your engine and then testing it in game is that it might look good on your actual viewport, but in game, it could be doing exactly what it's doing right now, like rendering on their bodies. So I need to just raise it up a lot more, especially if I'm going for the cloud vibe. Let's try 800 units going up. It was at 200. Let's see the difference. That's way too high. One thing we try and avoid on TFT is putting things super high, because you could block the enemy's bench. So let's say I put it right up here and you're trying to do some scouting. If there's an effect going off, it could block the enemy's bench, which for gameplay reasons and strategy, we try and keep it as clear as we can. So usually if this was a real game, I would probably put it, let's say, lower. Let's try 400. Put it right here. Yeah, that's about perfect for TFT, and it also wouldn't last that long, but because I'm going above and beyond, I'm going to raise it higher than I normally would. So let's do 600. So one thing we try and do on TFT is still have gameplay clarity. In our celebrations, like I said, we keep them to 1 hex in that area, but we also try to not use the vertical space. So for example, I've raised up these clouds to a very high amount. And this could block gameplay or potentially cause some unfair advantages for some players. So let's say you get your celebration, and then as the round is going, you glance up top to the enemy's bench. That bench is going to be blocked, and then you can't tell what they're going for. It's also a strategy thing, but mainly it's for gameplay clarity for you and the other players. So I'm gonna raise it back down to about a normal height. So now the cloud is really condensed, so I'm gonna spread it out to about the 3 size of the hex. My background in art, I've always been curious about it, but I never got to kind of go further into that. I grew up in a household where it was very much stated all the time that, artists don't make money, artists don't make it, you'll be the starving artist. So that's why I put it off for so long. And I didn't start art until about 2018. I was actually in the military. I served in the Air Force from 2011 to 2017. I got discharged honorably, and because of that, you get what's called a Montgomery GI Bill. That just means the military is going to pay for your school, they're going to pay for your housing, so I figured why not? I wanted to get into art, and now I have this chance to get into it. I got accepted to Laguna College of Art and Design there in Laguna Beach. I was a game art major. VFX had just opened. My teacher, who worked at Riot at the time, was teaching the class, and so I took it. I really went hard on it, and so I applied for the internship at Riot. I got the internship, and that's when I did the Elderwood Recon VFX in 2020 during the pandemic. After that, I got a full-time offer with Riot, and then I started in 2021, and it'll be 3 years and a few more months. So this is with it spread out. I spread it out about 3 hex. I can go a little bigger. 250. So right now, since I've spread it out so much, you can see through it. And I need to make it feel kind of volumetric. So I'm going to fill it in with even more clouds. So I'm going to pull from the rest of his A-Soul's recall that I mentioned earlier, really stylized clouds. 3, 4, 50, 500. A big part of my job is just messing with things and seeing if it works, as in a trial and error kind of deal. So I've added some clouds, so let's see. That's way too big. That is like crazy big. I'm going to bring it in right now, because right now it's making a circle, and I need it to be sort of in a flat line. So let's try 100. That doesn't help. 50. See how that looks. Not enough. And it's way too big. Position. Delete orbit. Let's test that. Okay, so I've thickened it up a bit. I've tried to reduce the amount of time or the amount that we can see in between the clouds. So here's what it looks like. You got two textures colliding into each other. But right now it doesn't feel very happy. It feels very like lightning storm. So I'm going to try and make it feel a little bit more happy. And so I'm going to do that by changing the color. Right now it's like this dark blue, navy blue feel. And I'm going to try and brighten that up with some warmer colors like pink and oranges. Let's get in there. Okay, so I've changed one of the clouds to pink, but now I've run into a problem where I've ran into something called popcorning. Popcorning just means that you can see each individual cloud where it's not blending very well. So I have to use the background clouds. They're right now like a dark blue. I'm probably going to make those an orange and pinkish color to try and get rid of that effect that we're looking at right now. That doesn't help at all. Oh, these are horrible colors. Okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. Oh, so to avoid that popcorning effect I mentioned earlier, I'm going to start small again. I think I went way too big in the beginning, and so I brought it down to the center. It's still there, and this is the base, but this feels a lot more happier. Maybe it could be a feeling of cotton candy, which makes me think maybe I should do some candy in the storm. But each storm usually has like lightning and thunder around it, so I'm going to try and add some lightning. Again, I'm going to pull from a pre-existing asset. Let's see if Soul has any in his kit. And he does, on his Storm Dragon Aurelian Soul skin. So I'm going to be pulling that and putting it in here. So let's see what that looks like. Ooh, okay, yeah, let's test it in game. Remember, if you don't test it in game, it might look wonky. Okay, yeah, that looks cool. I like that it's a orange. And so I'm going to keep going with that. Another part of being a VFX artist is leading the eye for the viewer. So right now it's not very clear where the power source is coming from. So in TFT we like to have a source of power. So usually in our celebrations we'll have a lot of the brighter parts happen on the chest of the unit, or wherever we want the player to look, we'll put the brightest part there. So right now, there's nothing for them to really focus on. There's no bright point or bright center point for them to look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and add a center dot in the middle of those clouds for us to focus on that. So to make that dot, I'm going to just make a simple glow texture in Photoshop. So I start out with just a single dot. I'm going to be making an alpha blended texture, so I'm not going to need the background, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to do it just to show you. So I'm going to take the dot, I'm just going to blur it out a little bit, blur it out even more, and then I can add some messed up artifacts into it. And so now I'm going to export it and put it in our engine so that I could show you guys what it looks like. The dot is here. And I need to make it brighter. So I've been at Riot for 3 years, almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in July coming up. And before that, in 2020, right around when the pandemic had started, I was an intern on the Pi team. So you might know them as League of Legends skins team. I worked on Elderwood Rakan. I did his entire kit as an intern. So if you have the skin, I did all the effects. There's flowers, there's bright auras, there's his up. As an intern, first thing they wanted me to do was to work on a ward. The ward was called the Tellstones ward. It was for Riot's board game that was coming out. And there's a ward where it's a sword, and then it stabs the table, but then like sparks and everything come out. So I did all the sparks and stuff. That was like a warm up. And then they were like, yeah, cool, you're getting it. So here's an entire skin. You can do all of Elderwood Rakan if you want. They didn't expect me to do it, but I did do it. And because of that, and because of how well I did on Elderwood Rakan, they asked me for a full-time position, and that's when I joined Teamfight Tactics. So there it is. It's only there for a second, so I gotta actually extend its lifetime a little bit. It fades out way too soon. And actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some ramp up energy. So I'm gonna extend its life. I'm gonna start it small, but I'm gonna have it ramp up in size as it gets brighter, to us to let it know that power and everything was being pulled into it as it gets stronger. Scale it up over time. Let's say 2. So here's the adjustment. It's there, it's getting bigger, it's getting brighter, but I can go bigger. Something like that. Okay. Scale up over time, 1.5. Okay, so right now, it's doing what I want it to do. But because I chose teal as a color, and it's very additive just means bright. The clouds behind it are very alpha, which means that it's a darker, more saturated color. But because the glow I'm using is very bright and additive, it's blowing out to white. And as a VFX artist, you do not want to blow things out to white. We save our whites and our blacks as more of a, to make things pop. It's very, you use them very sparingly, because if you just use white all the time, the screen will be like blast white. It'll be like a flashbang from Valorant. So it turns out I was spawning 6 of those dots in the middle, which caused it to blow out white. This is with 1 dot. And so what I'm going to do is put an alpha blended texture behind that to really make it pop. And so remember, all I'm doing is just an alpha blended texture is just a more saturated, not blown out to white color. It's more of the darker colors. So you could see it. I could slow this down. No, I can't. You can see that it's more pink around the white dot. I'm sort of faking the saturation in the additive dot on top by surrounding it with more saturated pink. And so now I need to bring more attention to the center without relying only on a glow. Another way to do that is just using motion. So I'm going to try and get some clouds to spin in towards the center to really make our eye focus on that. But I got to change color. Oh, that is way too much. Out of everything I've made at Riot, I'm really happy with set 11's the encounters, the swirling, the things that I made. They're actually on the wall behind me, and those are my most proud ones. My manager, he was like, "Hey, does anybody want to do this?" And in chat, I called dibs because it looked so fun. The concept of it looked so cool, and so I got to work on that for almost the entirety of the set. But that is the most proud I am, because I leveled up, I learned a lot. I got to use Maya a lot, because as a VFX artist, you also have to use maybe Maya sometimes. You might have to make a mesh. You might have to make a texture scroll over that mesh. You also have to learn how to texture paint. I got to do a lot of texture painting on that as well. The second thing I'm proud of is set 9.5 Gangplank had a big ship, and then once it got to the middle, it exploded, and that was fun to work on too. I'm very proud of that. So I pulled in some clouds. They're going towards the center. This is just using motion to pull more attention to the center. Here's some clouds. They're teal right now because I'm still figuring out the color composition and everything, but I'm trying to lean more towards cotton candy for these clouds because it is a happy storm. But there's things swirling from outside in to make our eyes go towards the center even more. So to make it feel more like cotton candy, I think I have to introduce some more bright pinks in the center and maybe change up this teal color a bit. The fun fact is you don't need to really know a lot of art to be a VFX artist as long as you have timing, shape language to know whether something can protect you or hurt you, and then color. So for example, green would be used for healing, red might be used for damage. Green could also be a poisonous effect, but then we would lean more towards a purple for that just to avoid any confusion on healing or poison. So all of that stuff's really important, and you don't need to know how to texture paint and everything. I just happen to have studied it prior to learning VFX. My mentor, when I was an intern here, she actually didn't have an artistic background at all. So now I need to show energy going into the middle itself as if it is building up. I'm going to show more focus towards the center, so I'm going to have this flashing strobe effect in the middle toward behind that dot. Here's what it looks like for now. It's flashing in the middle, but I'm going to reduce its opacity and we'll see how that looks. It's a little better, but I could bring it down more. I don't want to raise any. Okay, that's better, yeah. That's better. I lowered it. There's more attention towards the middle. It's still blowing out to white, but I think for this exercise it's going to be okay. Just as a center dot, as long as the dot itself isn't flashing and strobing. Storytelling is also something that's very important as a VFX artist. You need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's something I learned very, 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 very early in my time as a student. And that has put my effects farther than they could have gone. So the story for this, I assume energy is going to form into the center, and I'm going to have a hit. A hit is just like a slash, a flash, something to tell the viewer something's been hit by this, and there's going to be a cause and effect by it. So I'm going to have a hit or a flash, a ka, that just happens on the clouds, and then the clouds will then rain candy or something. I'll figure it out as I go. So I need to find something that's going to be that activation, that hit that I talked about. And I think a good thing I could do is probably include some lightning. So we have lightning crackling around it, but I want to focus the lightning on the center even more. That way maybe it's built up so much energy that it becomes unstable. And so I just duplicated the lightning that I have, and then I increased the amount spawned, and I brought its position or its shape that it's spawning in very small and to the center. So you'll see it here in the viewport, and then in-game is the same. It's also very important to act this stuff out with your hands, because if you don't, it's hard to visualize it solely with just your mind. And also making sound effects is very important. It almost feels like animation. You might have seen Riot's previous videos, So You Want to Make Games, where the animators will get in a room and just start acting it out. You'll see me at my desk a majority of the time just acting things out, swirling things in and exploding them out. That way I'm getting a visual representation in my mind and here in front of me. Oh man, I love those videos. I watched them as a student, and I'm glad I'm in one of these because it's really cool. I never actually thought I'd be here. I hope to do justice. And so at the end of this lightning, I'm going to have that flash, that hit. So I need to find a good hit frame to put it on. I'm not keeping much timing in mind right now, since I'm just kind of pushing this through to get something done, but I found one. I'm going to place it at the spot, the problem I'm going to run into next is when I do have that hit frame at top, I need to guide our eye to the bottom, which is part of leading the eye as an artist. So we'll see how that goes. I need to make it clouds form, clouds hit, clouds rain candy, and then maybe as it's raining candy, candy could pile up on the floor and there could just be candy everywhere or something. 250, 300, 400. Awesome. Okay, that's the timing is off on that hit, so I need to delay it by 0.1 second. 1.6 seconds is where I want it to start, maybe. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So I have the hit, but I have things lingering up top. So I think what I need to do is have on the hit, clouds maybe spread out and chill out and not move around so that's too noisy, but all the attention needs to go towards the bottom. So I'll probably need to keep it darker up top and then light up the bottom area. It makes no sense, but I'm just trying to reinforce that I'm leading the eye from one point to the other. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make everything double the size because at this point, it almost looks like a normal celebration, just slightly bigger, but I want to go even bigger. I'm going to spawn in these clouds, probably double the size, and on the hit, I'm just going to have rain fall down. But the rain is candy, and then candy will build up on the floor, and I think that will be a good example of what I want to do. Let's try it. So first thing I got to do is double the size of everything. So first I have that. I'm going to raise it as well just so that the character isn't obstructed. So let's try 500. So that's bigger. So that's taller. Now I need to make it double. It was at a scale of 1.5. I'm making it a scale of 2. That should be big enough. Let's add the next part in, which should be the center alpha. I got to raise that as well. The kind of bad thing about VFX, not really bad, but if you make a pivot like this, you have to go through each of your emitters and all of your particles and adjust them to be the same. So we raised it, center, let's make that bigger. Remember, I would never be doing this in TFT with this scale and size, and I would have a lot more time too. So the lightning's in. I could probably add some more lightning. I was spawning 3, I'm going to spawn 6. Boop, 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 boop. I'm going to raise that one as well. 500. Now I have the lightning in the center. That's going to ramp up to our actually, I'll spawn that sooner. I'll spawn that at 1 second. It was spawning at 1.5 seconds, but I want it to ramp up. And so this will be a good example of ramp up energy. Actually, I'll start it at 0.5 seconds, which is a half second. And from 0 to 1 of its entire lifespan, let's add 100 just for example. You could see it go and then it ramps up. That's the best way I can tell you. It goes 0 to like a bajillion. And I should also make them a little bit bigger. 1.5, it was at a scale of 1. I increased it by 1.5. So that's very bright and additive, I know. So now we need that center point for us to focus on again. But I need to raise that up so it matches the rest of the effect. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Oh. Okay, I'll bring it to 75 instead of spawning 100. Okay. And then I need that hit frame. So raise that up. The thing that's going to cause everything to go away. And so now that I'm not going to focus on the clouds being up top, and on the hit, I need things to just go away. I think what I'm going to do is I need to have the clouds stop spawning exactly at the hit. And so that's just based on timing / having it spawn from like 1 second to 2 seconds. I need to finesse that time of it spawning. But I forget that I only have a couple, probably like 3 hours. I'm just going to skip that part for now, and if I have time at the end, I'll finesse that. So the next thing I need to do is let's add some rain. I have some rain that I've made from a previous effect, that Gangplank pirate ship that I made earlier. I could probably steal the rain that I made on that one. And so I'm pulling from that rain and I'm putting it in here, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so the rain needs to happen after the hit. It's happening way too soon, so I'm going to delay it. Let's try 2 seconds, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, it is off by a small amount, so I'll try to start at 1.8 seconds instead of 2 seconds. Okay, cool. That feels a little better. But I mean, the clouds are still lingering, but whatever, that's fine. I said we should make candy come out, so now I'll probably end up making a candy texture if I can't find anything. I know Evelyn has that skin, because I know Sugar Rush Evelyn, the one I'm thinking of, is more like cake. Let's look at Candy King Ivern. Let's see. I want to see if they actually have a. Yes, they have candy. Okay. I'm excited. So what I'm gonna do, Ivern has a skin line called Candy King Ivern, and he has a lot of candy and happy stuff. So I'm gonna make it rain a ton of candy, and as it's raining, I wanna have the candy pile up on the floor. And I think what I'm gonna do, I might break the computer, but I want there to be so much candy that the entire floor just gets covered up. And you know, raining candy, piling up, covering the floor seems like a happy storm, so I'm meeting the prompt. So stay tuned. Each VFX artist has their own way of doing things. I don't think anybody else would have attempted this, but we'll see. So I got the rain on the hit. Let me make sure that it's still there. Okay, rain. And now I'm going to try and add the candy. So to reiterate on what my storytelling aspect of this is that cotton candy clouds swirl into the center. Electricity happens because it's getting so unstable from all the sweetness. And then a burst of energy happens, and then it starts raining candy. It starts raining candy, yes. And then it's going to cover the entire floor, and my computer will probably start yelling at me. Physics. Oh no, I deleted it. Needs to fall more. This is so stupid. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll explain what I'm doing now. Oh man. Okay. So in our engine, in most engines, you can kind of duplicate one emitter or the particle, and you can copy its properties over. So I grabbed a bunch of candy, and I'm having it mimic the rain using its physics to pull it down, its position to start it way up high here, and also spread out. And so what I have right here, I just copied it over, and now you get candy. So what was the next part? I need to have it flood the floor. And this is where my computer might yell at me, because these candies, I'm going to try and pause it. these candies are actually just meshes that somebody had made. And so spawning a ton of meshes could be very expensive on a game because it's a lot of 3D. And so in TFT, I would never be spawning this many ever. So I am going to have it flood the floor and we'll see what happens there. Now we have all this candy, and now I need to make the candy stay on the floor. Right now, the lifetime of the candy that's falling is only living for about a second to 1.5 seconds. So I need to copy that falling candy, spawn it only on the floor in that position, and have its lifetime live long enough so that it starts stacking on each other. So all I'm doing is I'm removing the physics that's causing it to fall. And, oh, yep, there it is. And I'm stopping it from pushing out. I need it to stay still. There we go. So now it's rotating. I don't need it to rotate. So I'm going to get rid of its rotation. But I do need it to rotate, to spawn in randomly on rotation. So yeah, it doesn't look like this, where it's just, it looks like a bunch of fish actually. So let's spawn it at a 360 with a chance to spawn at a +1 and a -1, which should cause it to all be different. Okay, well that's on one axis, now I need to do the other one. There we go. Yeah, that looks better. So now I need to, it's still in the sky, so I need to bring it down to the ground level. 0. Okay. And now I need it to live longer. Let's do 5 seconds. Ooh, that's gonna be a lot. Yeah, 5 seconds. And let's have the probability of it dying first is half of the time. So now it should stack like this. But it's stacking a little too high, so I need to bring that down. Let's say this much. So it's more condensed. Yeah, there we go. And then the important thing that I need to do, this is part of timing. We'll set this solo. I need the candy on the floor to spawn after the candy up top spawns. So if they spawn at the same time, it's going to be a little bit too soon. So let's do 2.2 seconds it starts spawning in. Oh no. Did I move both of them? I did. There we go. Remember, I want to cover up the characters. Remember, normally we would not cover them up, but for this demonstration, I want them to disappear in candy. Oh my gosh. Let's do 0.9. So let's see how that looks in game. I hope my computer doesn't break. It's getting there, but it's a little bit too high, so it's not as believable, but I just need to make some adjustments. Something I noticed is that the candy is spawning off the side of the stage, so I gotta bring in its width, its spawn potential, and bring that in. So let's say if it's at 1,000, let's see what 500 looks like. Okay, there. That way it's staying on the stage. It's a little bit more believable. Now I'm going to double the amount spawned. I'm spawning 400 on the floor right now. I would never do this. Do not do this ever. Your computer might explode. Okay. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Now, I think something I can do is mess with its scale. Right now, they're all about the same scale, so I think I'm going to vary up its scale potential. Let's say if 1 was the max scale, let's try 3 as its potential max scale spawn. So there might be some giant ones. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then it fades. Well, right now it's fading because it's shrinking. Let's see if we can just have it fade its opacity instead of through scale. Like a mixture of both, so it's not just clear popcorn feeling that I explained earlier, where you can see each individual thing pop out. We need it to fade as well. So all I'm going to do it's fade its alpha texture, or its opacity, from 1 to 0, starting 1 at full opacity, and then maybe once it gets about halfway through its lifetime, I'm going to fade that to 0. Oh my gosh. The computer's struggling. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Yay. It's still noticeable, but you know, with the amount of time I have, that's probably the oh my gosh, there's so much. Let's see it one more time. I know the rain is blue, so maybe I could just change that to pink real quick, just to match the vibe. Oh no, it's purple. Actually, that works out. Purple rain. I also want to make it a little bit thicker. What happens if I thicken it up? Maybe 20. Okay, so I made it purple, and I tried to make the rain pop out more. Remember, this is not something I would normally do. This is way too noisy. It blocks gameplay clarity. The benches would be blocked. Your gold mines would be blocked. The characters would be blocked. It'd be almost impossible for you to put any items on your characters. It would just not be clear. Okay, so, you know, we have our effect. It's raining candy. It's piling up on the floor. But, you know, like, what if you don't want candy and you want maybe some pies? Well, you can make it rain pies. Oh my god. You know, like, if you didn't like pies, what if you wanted like a bunch of fish? As a VFX artist, you could do anything you want. Fish. They have shadows too. That's so cool. Wait, can I spawn all of them? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love being a VFX artist. It's so cool. So here's some things I wish I knew sooner. If I could give any notes to my past self or any aspiring artists who may want to get into the field of VFX, you should definitely start learning shape language. You know, figure out what hurts and what heals you, why we do certain things. Figure out colors, because that's going to be important too, and timing. Timing is really, really important. I highly suggest you go watch the So You Want to Make VFX video that Riot put out earlier. I watched it all the time as a student, so please go watch that if you haven't. And you don't need to be the greatest artist to make VFX. You don't need to have the greatest computer to make VFX. I made my VFX on a really, really cheaply made computer, and it didn't last very long, but it got the job done. It got the portfolio that I wanted. And also for your portfolio, if you're trying to apply to places, make sure you apply with the intention of making something in the style of where you want to work. That's the best advice I could have given myself. I give that advice to all my students and friends who are trying to get into it. If you want to make a League of Legends stylized effect and put that in your portfolio and you want to apply to Riot, please do it. If you want to work at Naughty Dog and they do mainly realistic stuff, that might be something to tackle as well. Just cater your portfolio to the studio that you want to go to. Also, just know, I don't have a degree in school. It's not required to work at Riot using a degree for artists specifically. I don't know about the other disciplines, but as a VFX artist, if you're very good at your job, as long as you have the skills to pay the bills, that's all they worry about. You need to be able to have that portfolio ready for them to look at and be able to explain why you did things in certain ways and if you would do anything different to improve on it. Just keep in mind, being a VFX artist requires you to wear a lot of hats. You'll have to learn 3D modeling, texture painting, you might have to be an animator, you might also have to worry about composition on how things are framed. It's not required, but it will definitely make your portfolio shine above the rest if you can do those. Another tip for VFX artists is to always use reference when you need it. If you need to learn how a campfire is made, look at a campfire video on YouTube. If you need to look at a lightning storm and it's raining outside, go out and observe it. Observation is very key to being a VFX artist. There's many times I have my own Pinterest board of just flames, lightning bolts, things that I found to be really, really helpful, and refer to those anytime you need to go and revisit a material you're not familiar with. So there you have it. A candy, fish, pie, rainstorm that is just covering up everything, aka a happy storm. Very nasty, smelly storm. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Riot Games Super Art Power Hour. If you want to follow me on my art station, the link is right here. I hope you have a sweet day.